Everyone, we are going to be doing a rad roller or a myofascial stretching class today. All you need is a roller if you have a roller. If you don't have a roller, you can use like a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, anything with like a little bit of squish to it, but still fairly stable. Or if you have like a foam roller, you might be able to make a foam roller work, but we probably want something a little bit smaller. Or we're going to be going through a deep stretch class. You can just take it as a deep stretch class without the addition of the roller into our postures. So you might also want a yoga mat on the ground if you're on a hard surface, or a blanket or anything with a little bit of padding, and wearing comfortable clothes, something fairly tight so that our ball doesn't get caught up in those clothes. And whenever you're ready, you can just begin lying down in an opening shavasana here. Just beginning however you're comfortable. You can start with arms and legs extended out long. You can bend up the knees, taking the soles of the feet around mat width distance apart and allowing the knees to fall in towards one another. Or maybe you're more comfortable on your side or your stomach. Just starting wherever you feel supported. If it feels all right for you to do so, you can begin to close down the eyes. Just seeing if you can let go of any tension you may be holding on to. So maybe sealing the lips and unclenching the teeth, just allowing the jaw to relax. Feeling the shoulders rolling down and away from the ears. Feeling the entire back body settling heavy into the mat underneath you. And then allowing the arms and legs to take up space here. Just allowing the fingers and toes to fall light. Just beginning to settle into stillness here. Maybe taking a moment to check in with how you're feeling. How's the body feeling physically? How are you feeling emotionally and mentally? Not judging. Not trying to change it, just noticing. And then just taking a moment to connect to the breath here. So starting to feel the inhales traveling in through the nose, moving through the back of the throat and into the chest and belly. And then as you exhale, feeling the air travel out of the chest, out of the throat, and through the nose. Seeing if with every breath we can find a bit more length through the inhale and a bit more length through the exhale. And then maybe beginning to invite a slight pause at the top of the inhale and at the bottom of the exhale. Trying to make a point to maintain this breath as we move through our practice today. If at any point you feel like you can't continue the breath when you settle into a posture, maybe it's a sign just to ease off slightly, reconnecting with the breath, and then maybe settling back in when you feel like you can continue to maintain that breath a bit more. And if you'd like to, you can take a moment here to set an intention for your practice today. Just considering, what do you want to get from your time here? It doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be something as simple as I am present, I am here, whatever speaks to you. In your next couple breaths, let's begin to find some movement back into the body. Just starting to wiggle fingers, wiggle toes. Beginning to roll through wrists and ankles. And then just taking the head side to side, like you're shaking the head no. On your next inhale, let's take the arms up overhead, reaching the legs long in front of you for a nice big full body stretch. And then from here, as you exhale, hugging your right knee in towards your chest, keeping the left leg long for a half wind reliever. Flexing through both feet here, and then you can choose if you'd like to settle into stillness or invite some movement into that right hip. Good, breathing here. Maybe finding some gentle compression on the belly with the top of the thigh. Just trying to avoid any pinching sensations here. Trying to maintain those lengthened inhales and lengthened exhales. If at any point you find a spot that feels nice, maybe settling into stillness there for a couple rounds of breath. Take 5 more deep breaths here. From here, on your next inhale, we're going to bend up the left leg, placing the sole of the foot on the mat. Keeping your right foot flexed and crossing right ankle over left thigh. And then we're going to take that roller or whatever you're using today, or you can choose not to add that in, but we're just going to take it under the glute of the right side. So whichever leg's lifted, we're going to take that roller under that hip. And then just beginning to maybe thread the needle if you'd like a bit more here. And then you can find some movement side to side, just rolling out that glute on the roller, or you can keep the foot on the ground, rolling side to side. And taking nice deep breaths. And then with this roller, if at any point you find a spot that feels maybe a little tighter than the others, just pausing there for a second. Sending the breath there until you feel it release a bit. And then moving on once you feel ready to do so. Just applying gentle pressure here. You can adjust that roller wherever you feel you need it. With these roller classes, it's a lot about listening to your body and where it feels it needs that pressure. If you're feeling really sore, really tight, maybe just easing off slightly. Or if you feel like you can push a little harder, maybe adding a bit more pressure. And then just finding the spots where your body's feeling it needs that extra attention. Take around 5 more deep breaths here. Maybe coming into any final spots your body feels like it would like to explore. And whenever you feel like you've had enough, you begin to press through the sole of the foot on the ground, just enough to lift the hips that we can slide that roller out from underneath us. We're actually going to keep our legs here in this figure 4 shape, and we're just going to let the legs fall over to the left side of the body, making contact with the outer edge of the left leg and with the right sole of the foot. The arms can come out to the sides to a T, just breathing here into this twist. Trying to keep this top knee pressing forward. Feeling the breath travel into the right side body here. With every inhale, creating space. Every exhale, feeling your body settle just a little deeper into the twist here. On your next inhale, let's bring the legs back to center. And crossing the right leg and settling it long against the ground. And then hugging the left knee in towards the chest for our half wind reliever on the second side here. And again, deciding if you'd like to find some movement or settle into stillness. Trying to avoid any pinching through the hip here. And then if you find a spot that feels good, settling there for a couple breaths. That knee can begin to open towards the shoulder. And then come towards the center of the body. Or maybe inhaling, creating space between the leg and the stomach. And exhale, creating some gentle compression. Taking around 3 more breaths here. Next inhale, bending up the right knee, keeping the left foot flexed, and then crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, guiding the left knee away from you, and then switching to the second side, maybe taking the rad roller or your lacrosse or tennis ball under the boots, and just exploring here, rock side to side. Maybe taking a couple breaths if you find any really tight spots. Trying to hold there until you feel them release. If you're not choosing to use the rad roller here, we can always thread the needle, reaching for the back of the right leg, hugging the knees a bit closer in towards the chest. And then maybe adjusting the roller's placement every couple breaths. Taking around 6 more breaths here. Exploring any final spots with that roller that your body feels good coming into. Once you feel good on this side, you can just press the foot into the mat, hover those hips off the roller, sliding it out from underneath you. Placing the hips back down if you pick them up. Placing that right leg back down if you picked it up. And then keeping the legs here in this figure 4 shape, allowing them to fall over to the right. Extending the arms out long, breathing here. Trying to make contact with the top sole of the foot and the side of the thigh. Nice deep breaths here. Maybe feeling a stretch through the outer edge of the left hip. Maybe up into the side body. Taking just one more minute here. Next inhale, beginning to bring the legs back to center. Uncrossing the top leg, and we'll just hug both knees in towards the chest here. Coming into a full wind reliever. You might feel nice to rock side to side, massaging out the lower back a bit more here. And then whenever you're ready, just coming onto one side into a fetal position, supporting the head, the bottom arm. Then you can press yourself up to seated whenever you're ready. And again, we're going to be using the roller if you'd like to, or not. So we're going to come into a tabletop, and we're going to be working into a puppy pose. So opening up through the heart, through the chest. We're going to be taking the roller to the back side of the arm. So we're going to be rolling up the triceps here. We'll spend around 90 seconds on the first side and then 90 seconds on the second, or you're just going to spend 3 minutes in your puppy pose if you're not choosing to add a roller in here. So we're going to start in tabletop. We'll just start by having a roller close by, but not using it yet. And then just beginning to walk your hands away from you. Now if you're on a hard surface, you'll probably want to put something a little extra under the knees just to protect the knees and pad them. You can also place a cushion under the forehead here if you don't like having your forehead right against the ground. And then we're just going to take that roller underneath one of the arms, and then you can begin to roll forward and back here, or you can just find stillness, and then you can use the other hand to adjust the roller after a couple breaths. So when we do find those spots of tension or tightness, we do want to hold that roller there. So try not to move away from them. We can ease off. You don't want to feel any pain, but taking a couple breaths there, sending the breath into the muscle that you're feeling it in. Now from here, if you'd like to add a little bit of movement, we can begin to bend up the arm that the roller's underneath. So So if the roller is underneath, you can just begin to bend and extend through that arm, seeing how that's changing the feeling of the stretch. My dog thinks that this is her toy. She keeps trying to take it from me. Taking around 5 more breaths here on this side. And then we'll come out for a moment to reset and settle back in. Whenever you're ready, we'll just begin to walk the hands under the shoulders. Coming through a tabletop, then you can just come to a kneeling or a seated position. If you are in that puppy pose and you're comfortable, you can stay in the puppy pose, or you can take a couple breaths out before we come back in for our second round. Just letting that go, maybe noticing how that arm you just worked on feels different compared to the one we haven't come to yet. It feels a little looser. And whenever you're ready, we'll make our way in to the second side. So again, just starting to come down into our puppy pose, starting from your tabletop, walking the arms long in front of you, and bringing the roller under the opposite arm this time. And then maybe using that hand to adjust where the roller's sitting, or maybe finding some movement here, forward and back. Now, if you have just been in puppy pose without the roller and you feel like you've had enough time in puppy pose, you can press back to a child's pose. Just take a couple breaths there. If you're feeling the shoulders a lot, we could always come into a child's pose with our arms behind us, allowing the shoulders to round forward. Just rolling through. Nice deep breaths. If you did so on the first side and you'd like to do it on this side, you can begin to bend and extend through the elbow here. Just noticing how adding movement to this posture changes the sensations, changes how we're able to target the muscle with that rad roller, or that roller. Taking around 5 more breaths here, wherever you are. Whenever you're ready, we can begin to walk the hands back under the shoulders, just pressing yourself up to a tabletop and coming to seated. And then from here, we'll just sit onto a hip and swing the legs in front of us. Just giving those legs a moment to stretch out here after being bent up for a while. Find some movement, maybe through the feet or through the knees, or even windshield wiper side to side. Whenever you're ready, we're going to meet on our stomachs. We're going to be coming into a half frog. Option to add the roller, option to not add the roller. So we'll meet down on our stomachs, starting with whichever leg you'd like to start with. We're just going to begin to bend up the knee to the side of the room. And then from here, that roller can just come to the inner thigh. And then you can roll side to side. You can settle into stillness. Be noticing how bending and extending through the knee changes that feeling. Again, just listening to your body through these postures. don't like the addition of the roller, you don't have to take the addition of the roller. A couple more breaths here. Maybe around 30 more seconds. If there's any spots that you'd like to revisit and just hold for a couple breaths, now would be a good time to do so. Whenever you're ready, we'll just grab that roller. We're gonna stick with this leg that we're working on right now. We're gonna stretch and roll out the quad. So you're gonna take the roller to the top of the thigh. And then a couple options here. If you're using the roller, you can just bend up that leg. You can kind of come onto forearms and rock and roll yourself forward and back. If you would rather just hold, we can take the head to our left hand and then just grab a hold of the right foot with right hand here for a quad stretch. You can do this with or without the roller underneath you. And again, maybe find movement, bending and extending, or rolling. And since the quad is such a big muscle, you might want to start maybe somewhere in the middle or on one side, and then after a couple rounds of breath, readjust the roller to the other side of the quad. And spending around 1 more minute here, finding these spots that feel nice, holding for a couple breaths. Or maybe you've had enough rolling and you just like to settle in. Just more passive or static stretch. Taking around 4 more breaths here. And if you grab the hold of the foot, slowly releasing it back down. Just taking the roller out from underneath you. And then we'll be moving on onto our second side, starting in that half frog. So bending up the knee to the side of the room. And then option to take that roller to the inner thigh, or just to settle into that static stretch. Taking nice deep breaths. Settling into those spots that feel tight. Feeling that hip opening up here. Coming here for just around 1 more minute. Deep breaths. Couple final rounds of breath here. Finding any spots that you feel that you need to revisit for a couple breaths. And then whenever you feel ready to move on, we'll flip to the quad. So bringing the knee to face down, top of the thigh to the roller, or just bending up the knee, grabbing a hold of the foot with the hand, and then settling your forehead down. Choosing if you'd like to find that rolling movement or stillness. And then again, quad's fairly big. Maybe we start on the inside or outside edge, and then switch after around a minute here. Breathing through, find any spots that feel tight or sore, sending the breath there. If you started on one side of that quad, just move to the second side, the second half. Maybe adding movement, bending and extending through the knee. Maybe you feel like you've had enough rolling and just settle into that quad stretch. Taking a couple final breaths here. feel like you've had enough here, you can grab that roller up from underneath us, send those legs long. We're just gonna finish off here with the chest, so stay on our stomachs. Sometimes it might be more comfortable to place that roller on some stacked books or a yoga block if you have. We're just going to take the roller kind of right where the shoulder is into the armpit. So you're going to be rolling here, but you're going to be lying on your stomach, sending the arm out to the side. And then you can kind of use this other hand just to press yourself open slightly and then come back down. Opening the chest and coming back down. Feel like you're having a hard time rolling on top, that would be a time when it might be a little easier with some books or something underneath it just to lift it a little higher. Or you could always just come to seated and roll it out with your hand. Taking around 5 more breaths here on the side, finding any spots that feel nice to hang out for a couple breaths. And coming off of that roller, we'll switch onto the second side, placing it on the chest between the armpit, and then we can reach the arm out, or we can take that goalpost shape and then just using this other hand to kind of open up the chest and come back down. If you didn't have a roller there, you'd just be opening up the chest with the arm out long. Breathing here. Seated and rolling here. Taking around 6 more breaths here. Whenever you feel like you've had enough on that side, just rolling yourself back onto your stomach, taking the roller out from underneath you, and we're going to roll onto our backs here, settling in to a final Shavasana. So just rolling yourself over. If you still have that roller with you, it might feel nice just to take the roller at the base of the skull where the neck meets the head, and then just lying on that roller. That doesn't feel nice, just taking it out from underneath you and breathing here. This is where I'm going to leave you. Feel free to hang out in the Shavasana for as long as you would like. I hope you guys are feeling great. I hope you're feeling a little more stretched out and relaxed. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.